We are investors because we want to make money, but here's the thing. There are a lot of choices out there. In fact, there are more than 3,000 stocks available for us to invest in just in the US. And that's not including crypto, that's not including exchange traded funds, ETFs, and everything in between. And with those choices come risk. The more choices you got, the more opportunity you have to lose money. So how can we narrow this down? What are the best areas, the best sectors to invest in moving into 2025, and why are those the best areas to narrow down your search? Well, I'm going to tell you exactly what they are, why they are, and I'm going to give you a few stocks as a bonus to get your research started moving into the new year. So let's go ahead and break it down. So as I mentioned at the top of the video, I'm going to just run down the top 5. I'm going to kind of just throw some stocks at you as I go along. So grab your pen, grab your paper, whatever it is that you want to write on or type on as we go through. But I am going to give you somewhat of a warning, other than the fact that I will be talking fast. Okay, I'm not going to go that fast, but as I'm going through and explaining it, I always want to lay the foundation and give you a reason as to why, because as you're going through, I want you to understand what you're investing in, why, and the risk, the pros, the cons, all that type of stuff. But also, I did a video last week on the best stocks under $150. So refer to that for the best stocks, and some of those can overlay. I went more into each one of those stocks. So that's why I'm not going to spend 2 minutes on each stock that I'm going to mention here. I'm going to give you the industry or the sector, talk about that, and then here are some stocks that you can just kind of look at, okay? So just to kind of give you, while I'm just kind of throwing the stocks out there and not going deep into detail for each one of the stocks, but I'm talking about the sector here. What is the sector? Primarily, depending on who you ask, but it's really 11 quote-unquote official sectors of the stock market, areas that these companies fall into, all right? So the first one, and first off, the reason why I want to narrow these down into sectors is because it's a lot of stocks out there. It makes it easier for us to kind of narrow into. And every year or so, the market does kind of move in themes, right? Based on what the Fed does, based on who's in charge, based on what Congress does, the market tends to shift, right? And the stock market tends to shift. We saw a shift towards AI. That's where tech stocks were. We were afraid of what the Fed was doing with raising interest rates. Defensive stocks is where we were at one point in time. When COVID was the thing, healthcare stocks is where people were. So every single year, it tends to be a theme, sometimes a year and a half, year or two, but things start to move in cycles. So what is going to be the cycle? What do we think is going to be the cycle for 2025? So first, let's start with financials. We expect the Fed to continue to lower rates. That has helped a lot of finance companies. At one point, I don't know if y'all remember, wasn't that long ago, or banks were collapsing and finance stocks were not the place to be. That has changed. That has changed at this point in time. As rates continue to go down, we expect banks to continue to expand and continue to do well. It doesn't mean that every single bank out there and every single company in that space is doing well. I do like a lot of regional banks. Fifth Third Bank is one of the companies I've talked about before. KKR is a stock that I have owned that has done incredibly well. I checked my account last night rather, and I was up close to like 75% there. Woo. You can also see my portfolio on Public. But KKR, again, one of my favorites. JP Morgan is solid. American Express has been a company that a stock I have admired for a very long time. So those are 3 companies you can start your list in the financial sector. But if you're looking, look for the regional banks is where I would start, and then some of the companies that I mentioned. Tech, super easy. We've talked about it before. Yeah, you can go with the AI chip makers. Google did well. I got an alert saying they were up 5%. I think you know a lot of the big names in tech. I'm pretty sure we have a top tech video stock list somewhere on the channel that we've done, pretty recently. If you need me to do an updated one, let me know in the comments, and we can do that for 2025 if we don't already have one within the last 2 months or so. I like to spread them out because otherwise we talk about the same stocks every day. However, one we have not talked about in a while, GoDaddy. I be telling y'all, GDDY, GoDaddy.com, great stock, been sitting there. Also, Recent Networks, another company that I checked up on in my portfolio because this is the time that I start to adjust my portfolio, see how things go. I only do it twice a year, and that one was up over 100% in my portfolio. Whew. Love it when I'm right. And, I did tell y'all when I bought that stock. I did tell y'all, and y'all see Why I tell y'all what I tell y'all when I tell y'all. I'm just saying, okay? Y'all see what the moves are. If you're in the members only, I tell y'all, hey, I'm selling this. I'm worried about X, Y, and Z. I'm buying this. I tell everybody. I tell everybody in members only. I tell people in my courses. Y'all see it on public. That's all. That's all I can tell you, okay? And then I tell everybody else. So I don't recommend that you buy everything that I buy. We have different portfolios and different goals, but the things that I do tell you and that I research and all kinds of stuff, these are all companies I do believe in. And I do my own research, and we've seen mistakes that I've made. We've talked about Intel. I'm still mad about it. And then we see a lot of successes, like Arista Networks and NRG and other stocks. So, yeah, just leave that alone. All right, next company here are consumer stocks. You can combine these consumer staples, consumer cyclicals, whatever it is you want to call it. Stuff that people buy, if you want to call it that. Now there are several companies in here. I'm not gonna name the company that starts with a W. If you know the company that starts with a W, I'm going to leave it up to you to put that company's ticker symbol or the whole company name in the comment section below. All right, we're gonna see who is a good participant in today's class. But two other companies that don't start with a W, Royal Caribbean does count in this category. They have done well. I've mentioned it before, as well as Amazon. I think that's a very obvious one. I think both of those will continue, especially for Amazon, more so than Royal Caribbean. But I think Amazon is a very easy. It'll probably continue to do well easily in 2025. The other W company, I think I would assume to have a lot more runway, but you let me know. Put the name of that company in the comments for those who are brand new, because we did get a lot of new subscribers last week. Then moving on into energy. I have laid out my case for energy. I've talked about energy for quite a while. Now, how I feel about energy, again, check my portfolio. NRG is no longer at the top part of the entire S&P 500. Because what I like to do when I am researching stocks, pulling together these lists, and deciding what I'm going to invest in, what my kids invest in, and what my family invest in. Even, I'll be honest with you, and like I always am, and if you are checking me on Threads and these other platforms, Thanksgiving and Christmas, these are work days for me. Okay, these are actual work days for me, because I get family ask me, hey, what are the best stocks to invest in? Can you help me open this account? Should I sell this stock? All that type of stuff. And I enjoy doing that because I don't want to be the only rich person in my family. I don't want people asking me for money. I want them to be rich too. Just like I want you to be rich. That's why I'm telling you all my secrets. That's why we're here. Okay, I want us all to prosper. So what I do is I sit down and figure out what are the best stocks, so I can tell them, just like I'm telling you. Sometimes I just forward them the link. I did this video yesterday. You should watch it too. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It's your opportunity to do so. But I also look at the S&P 500. What I try and do is find that top 5 to 10% of those performers. I want the absolute best of the best. Now, NRG is not, or no longer rather, in that 5 to 10% of top performers. That don't mean it ain't good or isn't still good. It is. It's just not the tippy top. Okay, so I'm still holding NRG. I thought that it may have fallen off, and it's not. It is still quite good. I looked at it and what I paid for it. I think my average price, the first time I bought the first 50 shares, I'm going back in my memory, it was like $78 per share, and I'll put the screenshot here. And I think the second time I bought the next set of shares was like $80 something. And yesterday it was in the 90s or something. I was up quite a bit at the time. Now I'm going off memory. Again, I'll put the screenshot here. You'll see exactly how much I paid for those shares. So I'm up at that point in time from yesterday. We'll see what the price is today. So it's still quite good. It's just not at the tippy top, which is why I have two other stocks here in the energy space. So NRG is still good, not at the tippy top, but what it is, Target Resources Group, TRGP. Okay, all that to say, Target is the one for now. NRG is still good, but not my first recommendation. All right, so we got financial, we got tech, we got consumer. Then we move into industrials. Now, industrial companies, I think, are a mixed bag, because what you consider industrial really depends. And it's also very interesting moving into the next administration, because with tariffs, there's a risk. How are they going to work? Who are they going to impact? And again, what do you define as industrial? Now, If you're on Yahoo Finance and you're using a screener, if you're on Fidelity and you're using a screener, meaning it's going to sort out what stocks and tell you what category they're in, some companies are going to sort out and fall where they fall. Now, this is a part where it depends on what you are looking for and what you define as industrial. So in some cases, this may be a Delta Airlines or United Airlines may fall into industrial categories, which may be fine for you. Hownet, which is a company I mentioned in the aerospace industry, kind of defense contractor space. A lot of those aerospace companies are doing well now and there's no guarantee when it comes to the stock market, are highly expected to do well in 2025 because the next administration loves to shovel money to any defense contractor, any defense company. So that could be one space where it's like, this is industrial. But don't forget that tariff thing is out there. Will it affect the defense companies differently than what it would a Ford or a GM? Perhaps so. I would be more concerned about a Ford and GM. Would I be as concerned about Delta, American, which is not one of my favorite stocks, or would I be, again, Delta or United? I would feel much differently because I'm not sure what that looks like, right? And Boeing is not on my list at all. I would absolutely avoid Boeing at this point in time. But between Boeing, Delta, and Hownet, I think all three of those are fine. Hownet is where I lean most towards, but Delta and United, those are solid. But again, if you want the absolute best stocks that I like right now, especially the ones under $150 right now, and they do sort into many of these categories, then this is the video that you want to watch next.